The music stopped mid-song when I connected my phone to projector. 50 pairs of eyes turned toward the white wall where PowerPoint presentations usually played during Monday morning meetings. But this wasn't Monday morning. This was Friday night at the office Christmas party, and what I was about to show them would end more than just the music. My hand was steady as I pressed play. Not shaking, not trembling. Steady. Because I'd been preparing for this moment for 3 weeks. 3 weeks since I discovered the truth. 3 weeks since my world had cracked open like an egg and spilled everything rotten inside. My name is Victoria, and I'm about to tell you how I burned down my entire career in the most spectacular way possible. But first, you need to understand how I got here. I'd worked at Henderson Marketing for 6 years. Started as a junior coordinator, climbed my way up through late nights and sacrificed weekends until I made senior account manager. I was good at my job. No, I was excellent. My campaigns won awards. My clients stayed loyal. My boss, Richard, called me the backbone of this department. But there was someone else Richard called things too. My colleague, Melissa. He called her bright, innovative, the future of this company. And 2 months ago, he promoted her to the position I'd been promised, the position I'd earned, the position that should have been mine. "You're too valuable where you are, Victoria," Richard had said, his smile apologetic but his eyes cold. Melissa brings fresh perspective. You understand, right? It's nothing personal. Nothing personal. Those words taste like poison when you've given 6 years of your life to a place that sees you as furniture. But I swallowed it. I smiled. I congratulated Melissa like a professional. I went home and cried in my bathtub until the water went cold. And then I went back to work the next day, because that's what you do. You endure. Except I couldn't stop noticing things after that. The way Melissa and Richard would disappear for strategy sessions that lasted 3 hours. The way she'd come back from those sessions with her lipstick slightly smudged, her hair a little too perfect, like she'd just fixed it. The way Richard's hand would linger on her lower back during team meetings. I told myself I was being paranoid, bitter about the promotion, seeing things that weren't there. Until 3 weeks ago, when I stayed late to finish a proposal. The office was dark, empty, everyone gone home for the evening. Everyone except the 2 people in Richard's office. I heard them before I saw them. Laughter, low voices, the kind of intimate murmuring that doesn't belong in a workplace. I should have left, should have grabbed my things and walked out. But something made me stop. Something made me pull out my phone and press record as I approached Richard's office door, which wasn't quite closed. What I captured on that video changed everything. Richard and Melissa on his desk, her dress pushed up, his tie loosened, and they were laughing about me, actually laughing. Victoria probably cried herself to sleep when I got the promotion, Melissa said between kisses. She's so pathetic, like a sad little puppy. She is useful, though, Richard replied. Good worker bee. Does everything I tell her to. That's all she'll ever be. She doesn't have what it takes to lead. No ambition. No fire. Just there. They laughed again. And then they did things that made me want to throw up, made me want to scream, made me want to storm in there and destroy them both. But I didn't. I just recorded. Every word. Every touch. Every disgusting second. And then I left. Quietly. Like a ghost. I should have gone to HR, filed a complaint, done things the proper way. But HR was Richard's college roommate. The proper way would have buried me, not him. So I waited. I planned. I perfected my revenge until it was sharp as a blade. The office Christmas party was perfect. Everyone would be there. Executives, clients, Richard's wife Susan, Melissa's fiancé James. Everyone drunk enough to lower their guards, but sober enough to remember what they saw. I'd volunteer to handle the party playlist, set up the projector for the company highlight reel. Richard wanted a show. No one questioned helpful Victoria, reliable Victoria, useful Victoria. So there I stood, phone connected to projector, watching 50 faces turn toward the wall as the video began to play. First, there was confusion. People squinting at the screen, trying to understand what they were seeing. Then recognition. Richard's office. His desk. Him. Her bodies tangled together like a car crash. Susan's champagne glass hit the floor first. The sound of shattering crystal was followed by her gasp, sharp and wounded. James stood frozen, his face cycling through confusion, denial, horror. But I kept my eyes on Richard and Melissa, watched the color drain from their faces, watched panic replace their earlier smugness, watched them understand, in real time, that I just destroyed them. "Victoria, turn it off." Richard lunged for projector, but the video kept playing their laughter, their mocking words about me, their discussion of how he'd given her promotion as payment for services rendered. The room erupted, Susan screaming, James shouting, executives whispering urgently. Someone finally killed the power, plunging us into darkness broken only by emergency lights. When the lights came back on, Richard was gone. Melissa was crying, and I was smiling. That same calm smile I'd worn for 3 weeks while I planned this moment. "You're insane." Melissa screamed at me through her tears. "You just ruined your own career." "No," I said quietly. "I just stopped letting you ruin my life." HR fired all 3 of us by Monday. Richard for misconduct, Melissa for fraternization with a superior, me for violating privacy policies and creating a hostile work environment. I didn't care. I'd already accepted a position at a competitor for $20,000 more than what Richard made. Some people called me vindictive, unprofessional, crazy. But those people had never watched their opportunities stolen by people who saw them as nothing. My name is Victoria. I'm 41 years old, and I learned that sometimes justice doesn't come from doing things the right way. Sometimes it comes from making sure everyone sees the truth, no matter how ugly it is. Was it worth it? Every single second. Because now when people say my name, they don't say useful or reliable. They say, "Don't mess with Victoria." And that's power.